Hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of Author Spotlight. Hey, it's your host with the most, your main man, Darren and Palmer. Excited to be with you for another episode where I get the honor and the privilege to go behind the scenes with best-selling authors from around the globe. Today, we have on Michael Overlie today. Michael, say hello to the people.
Hello, people.
Well, Michael, we're excited to have you on here. Definitely want to dive deeper into who you are, hear about you as an author, and also about your process. But one of the giveaways that we have is that we like to hear it from the source. So if you don't mind, Michael, share a little bit about yourself and talk about your book.
Absolutely. Thank you. Um, yeah, I'm just this dude who lives north of Denver who just decided one day to write a book. Um, I do something a little different. I work with men and their dogs. So it's based on coaching, but it can get into some pretty uncomfortable places. And that's where the dogs come in. So the dogs have access to us like nobody does, right? Um, Most guys who have a tight bond with their dog can understand that, and they can allow their dogs to see them ways that they don't even allow their family or partners to do that. And experiences that I've had led me to want to help people live a better life and remember who they actually are instead of all the whatever the hell it is we have now. So yeah, that's what kind of pushed this whole thing.
And you know what, Michael, I'm glad that you brought that up because for those of you who are listening right now, I know it might seem far-fetched, no pun intended. When we look at the dog, I got a dad joke, I can't help myself. But it might seem far-fetched when it comes to looking at that crazy quote unquote ideal that you might have, or how does this water and oil mix, so to speak, or could this actually be helpful to somebody? And I want you to look at this. Michael is making a great impact by him moving forward on something that he knows, by something that's intrinsic, is something that is true to him. He's maximizing that by being authentically him. He is not having, I'm not knocking this because you see me with it on today because of some stuff we were doing, but he didn't have to have a suit on. He didn't have to say that, okay, I have to be a lawyer. He didn't say I had to have a doctorate from somewhere to do this type of work. He saw a need, he saw from his own experience, and he moved forward on that. So as we go deeper into the conversation with Michael, I want those in our audience, what is that thing that you know? Stop waiting. I have a saying, Michael, that I don't want people to act like, I can't wait on everybody to catch up like Hines and Hunts. I have to move forward on something that I know to do, and the rest of the world can catch up whenever they catch up. And that's what I think about when I see you. I see your story and things that you're doing for as people, and even being an author. You saw something and you move forward on it, and the world is a better place because you could have just stood there and be like, I'm just going to point my finger while you're sitting there with your dog on how it could get better, and this stinks, and this isn't a good idea, and I don't like this politician, I don't like this person. But you say, hey, I'm going to make the difference. So can you talk to us, Michael, a little bit about it going from something that you knew of personally to actually moving forward, even though it could be some backlash, or basically, what the heck do you think you're doing, Michael? You don't have a degree in this and all this to be able to help people. Can you share with us how you get over that boundary, a barrier, so to speak, that some people might impose with the dogs and also men and people?
Yeah, God, that's great. It was scary. Um, I knew I had this feeling deep down like nobody was going to understand me. Everybody's going to think I was freaking nuts. They're going to, and I get some interesting comments. I get a lot of "Let's go Brandon" stuff now and then on Facebook. That's okay. And I guess something that helped me was something I read by another author. His name is Dr. Aziz Gazipura, and he would say stuff like, "You will be disliked, yoo-hoo," just like priming you, like not everybody's going to get it, and that's okay. And that was a tough one for me to grasp because I've been a people pleaser most of my life. So getting over that hump and being able to get uncomfortable just a little bit at a time was huge for me. And then I take another step, and then another step, and another step. It's not like you're just going to try something and everything's going to go smooth and beautiful, and rainbows and unicorns. Um, it's effort. It's effort, but it's the I guess it's the willingness to go ahead and be uncomfortable, and then afterwards go, oh hey, shit, I'm safe. I'm actually all right. So it's that was the process, and it's still the process for me, right? So I'm still trying to expand and just completely get myself out there and be completely unashamedly me. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. And the part, Michael, that I want those who are listening to catch what you gave is that it's infinitum. It's ongoing. So this isn't just, oh, I passed it one time and then, okay, I never have to confront that again or overcome that Goliath again. It
Mhm.
might be in a different lens or a different scope or a scale to a different level. But at the end of the day, you still have to confront that and make sure that you don't go into your default. And you have to utilize the momentum that you had from a previous situation and realize that you're like, you know what? I was able to make it through that other situation that seemed like it was daunting. After I look back on it, hindsight is always 2020 vision, and I seen that it was doable. So you know what? Even though this is in front of me, I can do that too. So some of you, whether you're on your entrepreneurship roller coaster, so to speak, or if you're a leader, or you find yourself furloughed and you're starting over in a situation, or you have a new endeavor that you're going on, or you are with a situation with family where you thought that being a grandparent meant that you will just visit sometimes and actually you're raising kids again, or you've adopted, whatever that situation, or going through a divorce, or have an extended or bonus family situation. Regardless of the walk of life that you're in, keep in mind what Michael is sharing with us. It's ongoing. This growth
Yeah.
process of being comfortable, being uncomfortable is ongoing. And so God kind of somewhat got us to, because it's one thing for you to be able to step out and think everyone might want to lock you up in a ward or whatnot, thinking that you might be crazy as far as what you're doing. But how did you say, okay, I'm already knowing that I'm feeling somewhat, people can think I'm cuckoo, but now I'm going a step further by being an author. So can you take us through that a little bit?
Yeah. I was always kind of ballsy, but when I was younger, it was for a different reason, right? I want to impress people, and I wanted them to think I was cool and I'd fit in, and that I'd be loved by folks, right? So I did crazy stuff, and I was able to tap into that a little bit and go like, okay, I probably shouldn't have made it past 21, but I'm here. So how can I utilize that, even if it was a false bravado? How can I utilize that and realize, yeah, I can do this? So writing the book it was hard. I wanted so much for it to flow like all these other authors. And I'm a voracious reader, and it was like no, 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 and I couldn't pad it and fill it and make it fill so many pages to per chapter. It was terrible. And then I remembered a guy whose books I'd read, and he could do a whole chapter in one paragraph, right? So just getting the point across. And I was like, bing. So I scrapped everything I had done, chucked it, and said, this is what it's going to be. And if it's not well received, oh well. So I got to the point where I just wanted to get my message out. I knew it wasn't going to be perfect, far from it, right? But it had to be enough. And I needed to get it out there, because it was like, if I don't do this, I'm really going to be upset with myself for a very long period of time.
Hey, that's amazing. And when I hear you share that, Michael, it reminds me of progression over perfection. So for some who are tuned into this right now, that is about progression over perfection, people. I mean, don't deceive yourself into thinking. I know some of you out there, you might go into, but you don't understand, Michael, and you don't understand, Darren. I am my work, and my name is behind it, and all that. Okay, hey, calm down. Just breathe for a moment. I don't want you blue in the face like Papa Smurf. So,
Right.
with that being said, I want you to understand this, that typically it's another word that rhymes with what you're alluding to. So you're calling it perfectionism, or you think you are a perfectionist, but really it's also called procrastination. So
Yeah.
it's in the eye of the beholder. So I
Yeah.
have to ask you, if someone is hungry or whatnot, if you meet a homeless individual who actually is starving or someone needs food, or if you go to a third world country, even in the US, it doesn't matter where you are. The key to it is this: that person who's actually starving or hungry is not worried about if you went and got a gourmet sandwich or whatnot and you had the right truffles on top of it. Whether you went to that type of restaurant with the truffles, or if you actually went to a local Subway or something in the convenience store in the gas station, they're probably going to knock it out because they are famished. They need something to eat.
Yeah.
I think that's the same way that we have to understand the approach of what Michael is sharing with the urgency to get it out. It's more of a 9/11. It's a sense of urgency. You're not saying, well, I think my child is choking. So when you get a chance after you watch your local reality sitcom, if you could come over and check on us, it would be appreciated. So when you understand the importance of what you're sharing, like Michael is actually touching lives right now and helping people be able to be an asset to society instead of looking at it as a liability or a statistic, because in certain situations, if you don't get the right information, it can lead to other things, whether it's suicide or being depressed or losing jobs or losing a marriage or not being able to be a part of someone that they care about lives or whatnot, and they're not being an asset in the companies that they're working in. The world is not a better place because they're not at their full potential. So when you look at that, if Michael is still over here, still thinking about it, let's just use this example where we all are here right now virtually on. If Michael doesn't execute on that, if he procrastinate waiting on it to be perfect, we wouldn't be here for this interview. Just
Right.
let that set in for a moment. So there are certain doors that open because you executed on one level, which opens the door to the next level. And that's what Michael is doing for us, his impact, whatnot through the world. Michael, when we bring that up, I know that you said that you created it. What are some nuggets when it comes to the actual writing process with you? I know some people can do blocked off time. Some people might want to actually dictate it or whatnot and have it done. Some people get coaches or whatever it may be. What actually worked for you, Michael, for you to get this content out when you realized what you wanted to do?
Oh, that's a great question. Because I tried all of them. For a number of years, working on my own stuff, trying to do my own healing. I'd been journaling. So I had been writing. I had these 3 leather-bound books. Hold on. Ugh. Like these guys, right? And one day I was frustrated and I'm doing the wrong thing. And I kind of went like that. I'm like, shit, I already wrote my book. I realized that in those 3 journals, I had what I needed. I had, move things around, clean it up, tighten it up, but I had already done it. I was like, it was like his epiphany. And I just, I got my heart rate dropped, right? And I went, okay, I'm like, I can actually do this. Yeah, that was fascinating. I had tried, blocking off, 2 hours this morning. And, we're doing 3 days a week. We're doing this, and every system I put in place did not work for me. I'm kind of chaos on wheels, right? I was an EMT for a bunch of years, so running around the ER, not a lot of structure, right? Everybody's, gunshots coming in, blah 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 blah. I thrive on that kind of activity. So being organized and structured, like super structured, not my way.
Michael, when I'm hearing you share that, and that's the reason I brought it up, and I thought you was the right person to answer that, because for those who are listening at this and thinking to themselves, what can I do? What's the perfect formula? The formula is what works best for you. So that's the key. It has to be tailored to you, just like it's not a fingerprint like yours. It's the same way when it comes to the content creation in this process. It's some of you, it might be more of a hybrid approach. Some of you, it might be, okay, hey, you know what? I'm on lunch and I'm great. I got my phone with me all the time. I want to text it and put it in notes. For somebody else, it's like, man, I really stink when it comes to writing, period. I just need to actually record it. So it might be something where you create an outline and actually speak or whatnot and create
Yes.
a moment in time where you recording it on Zoom or something. And then all of a sudden you do each chapter where you put 7 to 10 minutes or more, or 7 to 20 minutes, whatever that may be for you. Now all of a sudden you look up, just like how Michael had the epiphany or the aha moment. Now you realize like, oh, wait a minute, I can get this transcribed and I got a book. And now I'm able to do what Michael was doing and just clean it up, move a few things here and there. If I want to bring some examples of some points in it, then I can do that or whatnot. So, but don't put on somebody else's shoes or wear their pants or their dress or whatever floats your boat. Whatever that situation is for you, I find so many people who are looking at creating content, they're trying to do the method that worked for someone else. And that is not your lane. Michael got his done because he chose what was best for Michael, but he could have threw that away and said, no, this is not how it happens. You know I have all this content here. I have the book right here, but I'm going to forfeit all of that because, it's just like it's this, I think it's some people, they create these prerequisites that don't even exist. These false prerequisites that you got to do this to be justified as an author. You have to do that. Hey, your thing, it might be ideal for you, but you might not have the Ernest Hemingway. You might not be in Havana, Cuba, looking out of a window at the ocean and got a lifetime to be able to create content on it. That might not be for you when you got the kids hollering and you're trying to commute to work and you're doing some other things that you got to do. So whatever works best for you, the key to it is, from a great shoe company, Nike, just do it. Do what works best for you and execute. And so, Michael, knowing that, okay, like, wow, I found out, I had this aha moment, had this epiphany, I got it. Can you carry us a little bit towards the finalization where you got the book in hand and it's like, oh crap, I got this done? Like, what is that moment? Can you somewhat take us through the emotional roller coaster when you realize like I did this, like I did it?
Yeah. Oh my God, that was great. So after editing, I had to approve the final, right? Like this is it. I work with a self-publishing company. So, not like Random House or anything, and they only do so much, right? So I bought a little package and they covered all the things that I thought were important to me. And that was cool. But that final approval, it was like, I was hovering. Fingers hovering. I had their email written out in response, and I'm like, I can't hit this goddamn button. And it was really interesting for me. I was like, if I put this out there, then everybody's going to know all this vulnerable stuff that I talk about in my book. And am I really, really actually okay with that? And I had to sit there for a minute, and I finally went, I'm like, if I could go and hit it real quick. But that was hard. So it was like this climactic moment, and I could have easily just gone, maybe I'll send it tomorrow. So that was really interesting. And that was another big step for me, because now whoever reads it, I mean, I'm not giving like little nasty bedroom secrets or anything, but there's vulnerable stuff about my life in there, and anybody can read about it. But my hope is that it'll help somebody. That was the whole thing. I'm like, okay, this is no longer mine. This is not about me. This has got to get out there. So,
that's amazing, Michael, because what you just brought up is something that, with me having the privilege to have a publishing company, that I've noticed with the countless authors that we work with across the globe, no matter their ethnic background, no matter where they are on the socioeconomic ladder, their titles, I've found that to be a situation where I have to go in, or have a member of the team go in and have that talk, like, hey, hold up. What's happening here is that you're finding busy work for our staff, because at the end of the day, you have cold feet. You don't know if you want to go through with this marriage now. You're starting to think about the same things for as emotions that Michael was talking about. You're trying to prolong it. You're basically coming up with excuses like, well, what about this? And I'm thinking about this, instead of just actually putting the book out, because there's no such thing as a perfect book, by the way. Just read any John Maxwell books, and John Maxwell is still making an impact across the globe. But every John Maxwell book I've read, there's errors through the book, but that's not stopping his impact. Not saying that he's trying to create errors. So for those out there who think that you have to be a perfectionist, John Maxwell books are countless. I think it was over 64 he had the last time I checked or whatnot. And he's still making a global impact. So it goes against that needy, if you haven't even written one, or you're thinking about you on the second or third one, but you feel like that you're above the accomplishments of a John Maxwell in the world, and he's willing to get it out. The thing that Michael is sharing, that's a testament what I just gave on a grand scale for someone who's publishing. So if you feel like that what me and Michael is sharing is rubbish and you don't think that it's true, let's go look at somebody else that you see who's actually an image when it comes to leadership, a poster child when it comes to leadership, with a John Maxwell. And he's touching people literally across the globe or whatnot. And so I think we got to keep that in mind, because if we're not careful, that emotional, that tipping point right there can be the thing that will hinder us from doing like what Michael did, and just like, okay, let me press the button. I have to trust myself. I've done the due diligence. The team that I work with have done what they need to do. And if someone reads something, cool. But I want to bring this around about what Michael brought up to us. You have to keep in mind the people that's going to be helped. Going back to the sandwich analogy again, that is the thing. The need to help someone, I share that with people. If you want to do the book, the other stuff is cool, but you have to be selfless instead of selfish. That's the real true heart of a real author. And that's what Michael embodies. Michael was able to say, I'm able to get out of my own way. I'm able to overcome my own lack of scarcity mindset of whatever is coming at default to try to push me away from doing this. But I know it's somebody out there that at the end of the day, if it's able to help save a life, if it's able to help that individual from something that they actually might not feel comfortable going in and talking to a counselor about, but something resonates with my story and my book and with me being vulnerable to help save their life, even if I never get a pat on the back for it, even if I'm never ever told that this was able to be beneficial, I know it's out there and it can help someone. I'm willing to be a person that will be willing to sacrifice in the book sense of what's public domain information for people to be able to know, if I know I'm able to make that type of impact. And so I just want to salute you, Michael, for making that move. I know it can seem easy right now that people are looking at you like, oh man, it must be cool, man, the guy's an author. I mean, but I know that hurdle myself, and you'll be shocked at some people that they might be killing it in other areas, but it is frightening for people when they know, like, okay, this is to the world and it's for generations. So if it's a niece, nephew, somebody that lives in another country, later on, 50 years from now, people will still be able to relate to Michael's story. But also 50 years from now, whatever medium or whatever thing, if it's just something that pops out the sky and they just click it or whatnot in the metaverse or whatever it is, still, whatever platform it is, he is infinite now. He's still making an impact even when he's actually transitioned. So that's the type of thing that you got to take into mind when you allow, when fear tries to set in or anxiety try to set in, you're able to conquer that spirit of fear by moving forward and doing it anyway. And Michael, with that being done and accomplished, man, far as your services or things that you offer, how can people who are thinking like, man, Darren, this has been awesome, man, this rocks, but I want to know more. I really want to know, how can I get the book? How can I connect with Michael? Is he anywhere on social media? Is it a website? I know we'll have information in the show notes for those who are tuned into the show, but if you could at this time, talk to the people and share with them how they can connect with you and get this awesome book.
Okay, absolutely. Well, it looks like this.
Love
It's
it.
called Let Your Dog Lead. It's a completely different way of looking at the relationship with your animal. My website is www.dogsandmen.com, all one word, dogs and men. Email is michael@dogsandmen.com. I'm on Facebook at Michael Overlie and at Mike Overlie Author. I'm on LinkedIn at Michael Overlie, Instagram at Myrdin Dog, MYRDDHINDOG. There's links to all kinds of stuff on my website. There's a link in there, other shows I've been on, talk about all kinds of cool topics with awesome people like Darren. Yeah, email me if you have a question. If you have a question about writing, I'll give you everything I got.
Man, that's amazing. And once again, Michael, man, we have nothing but gratitude having you on. And just I can't help it because it was brilliant when he showed the cover. The cover, this is just a 300 level course. We're just gonna add another tip as we get ready to leave up out of here. The cover should be able to embody what the title is.
Mm.
So you're hitting someone's subconscious mind without them even knowing it. So by looking at the image alone, the visual part of it, and then reading it, all of a sudden he's tying the two together where it's like, just like he had that aha moment, that epiphany when he had the things that he'd already journaled. That's the type of connection or whatnot that you're making when you're doing a book. So just think about that. If it's a frog on the cover and he's saying, let your dog lead, it's a disconnect, to
Yeah.
say the least. It's a gulf. So I know that might seem for some like, oh, it just makes sense. But as my grandmother would say, the common sense isn't so common. And if you're not aware of that and you can let your emotions get the best of you if they're unbridled in the book process, because you're so consumed with trying to create content and wondering if it's right and all the other things that go along with it, you can actually forfeit some things that are actually critical when it comes to making sure that you do a book with excellence. There's actually going to be something desirable for someone to pick up, because you can't have the impact if the people aren't willing even to pick up the book. So if someone see that you didn't even make the effort to even make the book at least look professional or look like it's appeasing to the eye, then all of a sudden, even though you wanted to make that impact, but you cut corners on the other areas, you actually basically said, I didn't want to make the impact, because they don't know you like that. So you got to be able to invite people in by some of the things that you're doing that they're not even aware of. And I think you did an excellent job of that, Michael.
Well, thank you. I mean, I didn't design this myself, right? So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
worked with some
exactly. But
really
you got
great
a
folks.
team.
But yeah, I wanted it to be like inviting but peaceful at the same time, right? So who wouldn't want to walk their dog at sunset off the beach or whatever? So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And the title goes along the same way. So we're gonna make sure we want to be respectful of your time, Michael. Excellent, excellent interview, man. You can tell people who actually live this, and I can tell that you live this. This is something. This is who you are. You walk, talk, you breathe, you live this. And so, for somebody who's out there and you're thinking, hey, we're going to make sure that information to connect with Michael, make sure you go and get the book. Let's make sure we support. Let's make sure we get the book. We're going to have the information in the show notes too as well. But let's maximize this. And I think that it's a wealth of knowledge that Michael has shared with us. And please don't miss this. So don't allow limited thinking to get in the way. If you don't have a dog, if you're a cat person, you still can benefit from some of these principles, the things that he's already shared with his own process on the journey that he's on. That can help any of us. I don't care if you're a C-suite exec. I don't care if you are a solopreneur, entrepreneur, entree leader, whatever that thing. If you're a stay-at-home mom, these are transferable skills that he's giving us on how to perceive. And whenever you change your perception, your reality changes or whatnot. So just being aware, and that is what Michael is doing for us, finding a healthy way for us to be able to deal with some of the things that come our way and being able to think outside the box. If you didn't know it or not, the day and age that we're living in at the time of this recording, you might want to practice thinking outside the box or whatnot to keep your sanity or whatnot. And so you're not weighed down with the information that other people are making sure they force feed you out in this world. So once again, thank you, Michael, for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you, man.
Thank you, Darren. Humbled. Thank you, brother. Love you much.
No, love you too, brother. Gratitude. And for those who are here, we appreciate you. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here with me and Michael. And we're grateful to have you here. And remember that this is the year for your new book. And if you won't change, be the change. And next time, be blessed and be great.